So let's start with the biggest name already on board. Now, number one, we've got MTN Nigeria, the giant. MTN Nigeria is now the single most valuable company on the entire Nigerian stock exchange. By April 2026, its market value crossed 19 trillion naira. We are talking of a company that was at about 4 trillion naira at the start of 2025. That literally means that in about a year, its value multiplied 5 times over. If you're wondering why, it's simply because MTN isn't just a phone network anymore. It's the backbone under Nigeria's data use, mobile money and digital payments. Anytime someone sends money on their phone or pays a bill through Momo, MTN earns from it. There's also talk on MTN acquiring IHS Towers, the company that owns much of Nigeria's phone mast infrastructure. Now, go-getters, you need to understand that if that happens, MTN won't just sell data. It will actually own more of what the data travels on. Now, that leads to a question that I have for you. If a country's economy keeps getting digital, who benefits the most? That's MTN's whole story in one line. That leads us to the next analyst, which is none other than Dangote Cement, the builder. Now, we are talking of something you can actually touch. Cement, right? Dangote Cement is Africa's largest cement producer. It actually sits among the top 3 most valuable company on the entire exchange. We are talking of a company worth over 16 trillion naira as of April 2026, nearly double what it was less than a year before. Every new road, every new estate, even new bridge in Nigeria and West Africa needs cement. As long as people keep building, this company keeps earning. And guess what? It pays consistent dividends too. So while you wait for growth, cash still lands in your pockets. Now, I believe if MTN is a bet on Nigeria going digital, Dangote Cement is a bet on Nigeria going up brick by brick. Now, moving on with our list, we've got 2 banks, Zenith Bank and GTCO. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Remember the dividend mystery from the start? This is where you get the explanation. Now, take note that Zenith Bank and GTCO are Nigeria's 2 most watched banks. In 2025, both made almost the same profit before tax, just over 1.2 trillion naira each, practically twins on paper. Now, here's the little thing. Zenith paid a tax rate of about 17.6%. GTCO paid almost double that amount, close to 30%. The gap cost GTCO roughly $89 million more in tax than Zenith. So after tax, that made Zenith come ahead. A record 1.041 trillion naira. The first time any Nigerian bank crossed 1 trillion naira in profit 2 years in a row. GTCO's after-tax profit actually fell from the year before, partly because a one-time gain in 2024 didn't repeat. So who do you think paid the bigger dividend? If you guessed Zenith because it earns more, you would be wrong. GTCO paid 12.76 naira per share, the highest dividend any bank in Nigerian history had ever paid. Zenith paid 10 naira even after doubling its payouts from the year before. The bank with the smaller profit paid the bigger reward. So if you're a smart goal-getter, you would understand that GTCO is leaning hard into rewarding shareholders right now. And they are doing that while still holding equity above 28%. One of the biggest, best efficiency numbers in African banking. Zenith, on the other hand, is sitting on the bigger profit engine, and it doubled its payout to prove it isn't holding back either. So, go-getters, here's the real lesson hiding in this story. Profit and dividends are not always the same conversation. That's exactly why both banks made it to this list. Not as twins, but as 2 different philosophies on what to do with shareholder money. Now, before the main 5 wrap up, there's one company most casual investors haven't even noticed yet. Aradel Holdings. It's an independent Nigerian oil and gas company. At the start of 2026, it was worth around 2.91 trillion naira. And by February, that jumped to 4.75 trillion. And by April, it had climbed to 8.79 trillion. Yeah, you heard that right. That means in about 4 months, this company's value roughly tripled. Now let's look at what's driving it. Aradel's profit margins jumped from 49% to 69% in a single year, an unusual high number for an oil company. It was actually helped along by a major partnership through Renaissance Africa Energy. This is a research-intensive peak. It's not as steady as a bank or a telecom giant. But if you want exposure to Nigeria's energy sector and you're comfortable for extra risk for a short and bigger growth, Aradel earned its position on this list through actual performance, not hype. Now let me give you the part of this video that most people would generally skip. As of April 2026, the Nigerian Stock Exchange as a whole is worth about 155 trillion naira. But just the 10 top companies, the names we've been talking about, and a few others make up 70% of that entire value. That's good news in one way. It tells you these 5 companies aren't fringe bets. They are the backbone of the exchange. But I think go get us that it's also worth asking yourself a real question. If a handful of companies control most of the market's value, what happens to everyone's portfolio if sentiments turn against even 1 or 2 of them? This is exactly why we built this list as a basket of 5, spread across banking, telecom, cement, and energy instead of one single stock. There's this African proverb that says, one bracelet can't jingle. And you know my go-getters that have always got your back, right? So that's why I came up with 5 companies for you. Now remember that seed name I told you about at the start? It's time we dived in. Yeah, we are talking about the one you can't buy yet. But that could be, as I said earlier, the most valuable of them all pretty soon. I am definitely referring to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. Sitting in the Lekki Free Trade Zone just outside Lagos, it's the largest single-train refinery on earth. It costs around $20 billion to build, and it took almost a decade. Needless to be repeating to you that for years now, Nigeria has gone through a very terrible situation, which is pumping out some of the most crude oil on the continent, then turning around and importing refined fuel to fuel its petrol stations. This refinery earns that because it processes Nigeria's crude oil right at home and exports extra fuel too. If you don't know, it already processes around 700,000 barrels of oil per day, more than it was originally built to handle. Now here's the part that concerns us in this video. Though this refinery is not on the stock exchange yet, it's about to be pretty soon. He said he is planning to sell a slice of the company to the public, somewhere between 5 and 10%. Early estimates put the whole refinery's value to about $40 to $50 billion. If that holds, this could become the biggest stock listing in African history, several times bigger than MTN Nigeria's 2019 listing, which was the record holder until now. And you know what, go-getters? There's a detail to this deal that Dangote himself said publicly. In his own words, you buy in Naira but get dividends in dollars. Isn't that amazing? Think about what that solves. One of the biggest fears diaspora investors have about Nigeria is the Naira losing value before they ever see their returns. This structure is built to remove that fear. There's a bigger picture here. Note that the stock exchange isn't just inviting Nigerians to buy in. There have been talks with stock exchanges in Ghana, Kenya, Ethiopia, and even South Africa. Please don't get mad at that last one, because that was something previewed before this whole South African drama started, all right? That was to let investors across the continent take part too. It was intended to make it not just a Nigerian opportunity, but a Pan-African one. Current timeline points to a listing sometime in the second half of 2026. Nothing is guaranteed yet. IPOs can slip, and a company's value before listing is an estimate, not a promise. But if you've been waiting for a sign to get your brokerage paperwork ready before everyone else rushes in, this is it. So let's bring it all together. We've got MTN Nigeria for digital dominance, Dangote Cement for physical backbone of growth, Zenith Bank and GTCO for two different but equally strong banking philosophies, Aradel Holdings for the highest growth and the highest risk-taking on this list, and the Dangote refinery, the one you can't buy yet, but should be watching closely. 5 companies you can act on today. One giant coming soon. Pay attention to both. Now, quick disclaimer before you go anywhere near a brokerage app. This video is education, not personal financial advice. Alright, let's be clear on that. I also want you to bear in mind that past performance does not guarantee what happens next. Some of these stocks gained well over 100% in the past year, and that does not mean they will automatically repeat it. Now, I reiterate that the refinery listing is still just a plan. Valuations before the IPO are estimates, and nothing is locked in until the prospectus is approved. So please, go-getters, do your own research. Think about your own risk tolerance. And if you're investing real money, I would advise you talk to a licensed financial advisor first. But here's what I do know for sure. While some of us were watching savings sit quietly in foreign accounts, earning very little, some of these Nigerian companies were paying double-digit dividends and growing several times over in value, in Naira and in dollars. Now, all I can tell you is that the opportunity in front of you is real. The only question left is whether you take the time to actually look at it. So if you love this video, tell me which other country you would love to watch next, for this series isn't ending at Naira. Africa Today has finally answered your prayers, right? For all of you, my go-getters, who were requesting for us to have a joint venture, it is about to see the daylight already, right? So if you weren't aware, because I understand it's been long we've not been having our business videos or go-getter videos on the channel. Now, if you've been missing on this opportunity, I want to let you know that we are about to launch a diaper brand, right? Made in Africa diaper brand. The spots are fast going, and if you delay, you might lose out on this opportunity, all right? So if you want to be part of this project, it's simple. Email us at africatodayinfo@gmail.com and make sure to label boldly diaper project before writing whatever you are about to write, so that your email might easily be identified. That said, thanks for watching, and I will see you on my next one as always.